This is Founders Frequency on indigomusic.com in association with Thai Bangalore chapter. I have with me Mr. Sanjeev Keskar, who is the CEO of Arvind Consultancy. Thank you so much for joining me, Mr. Keskar, and welcome.
Thank you, Adarsh.
My first question to you was I wanted to talk a bit about the startup culture in India. A lot of people, including, ministers or someone who's also experts in the field, have been saying that the startup culture in India is not contributing much to the GDP. We have a lot of startups, especially in a city like Bangalore or Mumbai or Delhi or Gurgaon. Is famous for a lot of startups, especially Bangalore. We have many startups, but I think the IPs are missing. So I think the contribution to GDP is also very minimal in terms of what we want to achieve. This is what we are currently at. So let's talk about the startup ecosystem in India right now, not contributing that much to the GDPs because there's not many IPs and real innovation happening in India. So what do you think about that?
Okay, Adarsh, there are two aspects when it comes to, and particularly I'll be talking about semiconductor and electronics industry point of view.
Okay.
Okay, there are two aspects. Firstly, in India, there is absolutely no doubt of talent. We have one of the best talent when it comes to semiconductor chip design as well as embedded electronics product innovation. But most of this talent is working either in a captive design center of a global company or as a design services company. So, in both the scenarios, we get jobs, IP value, or whatever innovation is happening, that value or those patents are getting filed by those captive design centers or the customers of services company. Now coming to startups, very large number of startups, okay, startups started by experienced people, startups started by just fresh students out of the engineering colleges and with some brilliant ideas. Again, challenges with the startup is primarily we create lot of center of excellences or incubation center, but the fundamental challenges what startups go through, those are not really getting addressed. So there are more than 10,000 startups into electronics and embedded, but today's success rate is less than 5 to 10%. We have to really pay attention how to improve that success rate. Now, the three key reasons, if we try to analyze why the success rate is low, okay, then first and foremost, when these people are on the drawing board, they really don't get a good business mentoring as well as technical mentoring to guide them that okay, techno commercially this is the best way to go about developing that particular solution.
Hmm.
Okay, they have some ideas which they have learned in the college or which they have done some project, they just start development during with using that same architecture or same platform. Okay, but that may not be the best platform which can make them techno commercially successful, and they spend 1 year 1.5 years of effort in developing a application or a solution, and then they realize that either they are too expensive than the market price expectations, or they are not meeting the technical specs or features what end market is looking at, and their competition is having better features and lower price, and finally they exhaust their funds and they have to wind up. So first and foremost thing, I think all these startups need a excellent mentoring when they are on the drawing board. Secondly, most of the startups come up with a me too idea. Okay,
Hmm.
that okay, this product is available at 100 rupees, I can develop easily at 50 rupees and I can sell at 70 rupees. So this strategy never works. Okay, so that's something startup must think. Okay, that what is the differentiator and what is the unique advantage. So again, to really give you the clear answer, the number of startups are very large in electronics and semiconductor space, but good technical mentoring and good test and certification facility will definitely improve the success rate of these startups.
Okay, let's talk about how Arvind Consultancy is driving this change in the electronics and semiconductor industry. There is, like you said, lack of IP or technology creation. There's also a bit of lacking in the component manufacturing and testing of these components in India. So, how is your company, Arvind Consultancy, driving this change?
So, Adarsh, my strength is my network in India. 35 years I spent in corporate managing 5 American companies as India country head or managing director. I was with National Semiconductor, AMD, Freescale Motorola, PMC Sierra, and my last job was with Arrow Electronics, where I was representing almost 150 semiconductor and passive component company. And I have dealt with every vertical of industry, like analog products or industrial products, automotive products. I've dealt with IT hardware as well as automotive, telecom, industrial, all verticals. So my strength is my network across India. I am really helping startup solving their problems. So any startup which comes up with a problem statement, let's say they have a technical issue, then I know if it is a microcontroller related issue or if it is a RF related issue, who are those technical experts in India who have that domain competency. So I just connect him with that expert and their technical issue gets resolved. They come up with a request that, okay, I need, this is my product and this can be sold to so and so customer. Can you help me with the customer connect? And I connect him with the CEO of that company and they get into business. Or they come up with a problem statement that I'm looking for a distribution strategy, challenge related to supply chain of components or manufacturing with EMS partner. Based on their problem statement, I try to connect them with the solution and I fix their problem. So in last 4.5 years since I have started my Arvind consultancy, I have supported more than 80 startup. And for me, it doesn't take more than 1 or 2 hours to spend with that startup because I just understand the problem and I know who is that goldsmith who can fix their problem, and I just connect right solution and their problem gets solved. Sometimes I also get involved in actually business development work for them to really handle them to take to the market. Coming to your second question about component, that is also another prime focus for Arvind Consultancy. See, today the biggest challenge for electronics industry in India is about the local value addition. What we are doing in when we talk about mobile phone manufacturing or IT hardware manufacturing or consumer electronics manufacturing, we are getting kits from the principal company and we are just doing the assembly work in India. Means Apple, Samsung, Oppo, Vivo, Xiaomi, all of them, they get their kits and we do only SMT assembly in India, which gives us 10 to 12% value addition. Okay, and that's the challenge with most of the industries except for industrial electronics and two-wheeler automotive electronics, which is designed in India and manufactured in India. But all other sectors, consumer, telecom, IT hardware, mobile phone, we are getting kits and we're doing assembly. So the biggest challenge is about local value addition. And
Hmm.
still $340 billion worth of components and other technologies will be importing. So that is another charter I have taken from Arvind Consultancy, that how we can enable Indian ecosystem for component manufacturing. Government has come up with excellent policies, semiconductor policy, now recently launched the passive component and bare PCB policy. The basic technology is not available in India. We have to have some global technology partner to come up with a joint venture with the Indian partner to create that manufacturing ecosystem. And that's my second charter. I am enabling ecosystem for component manufacturing by collaborating Indian corporates with the global technology companies.
There are a lot of youth who are excited to start their entrepreneurial journey, and there's also a lot of youth who are studying engineering or bachelors of science or masters in science in the electronics and semiconductor field. What's your advice to them about where the country is heading towards entrepreneurship and the startup ecosystem, as well as where the electronics and semiconductor industry is going? Your take or your piece of advice, guidance to the youth who are taking up this electronics and semiconductors as their subjects?
Thanks, Adarsh, for asking this question. This is a very, very important topic. We want our youth to really focus on developing India as a product nation.
Right.
And that is possible creating technology, creating IP from India. And that is possible when we really create a good entrepreneurship and good technology startups from this country. Means, why can't we have the next large scale Apple or Samsung emerging from India? We have great talent. We are doing global projects from India. Then why can't we do projects for India from India? As I mentioned, for semiconductor startup, government has come up with a very good scheme called DLI, Design Link Incentive Program, where 50% incentive by a startup into chip development is supported by government. And once that IP or product goes into production, there is a production link incentive of another 30 crore rupees. So a startup get 15 crore rupees for design and 30 crore rupees for production link incentive. So it's a very good scheme for semiconductor startups. Now coming to embedded electronics startup, unfortunately there is no good scheme available. Okay, there is no scheme by central government to support electronics product innovation, but there are very good incubation center. Like we have IoT Open Lab by STPI Bangalore. Totally, STPI Next has 22 incubation centers across India, and they have created one of the best infrastructure facility as well as incubation centers. So I want this youth to leverage those incubators, leverage those center of excellences. There is an excellent initiative taken by Telangana government called T Hub, which is the Asia's largest incubator, and I have visited that center. It is one of the best facility in India.
It's, I think, leveraging the opportunities that's already there given by the government, as well as, taking that leap of faith and jumping into the entrepreneurial journey that will actually make a huge difference in the lives of the youth who are interested, as well as for the country, for the nation, as well as for the entire industry, for mankind as well. Thank you for so much for joining me. And of course, if there is any hiccups or obstacles due in their journey, there's always Mr. Sanjeev Keskar to help you out. Check out his website. It's arvindconsultancy.com. You can always take his help if you're starting your entrepreneurial or startup journey in the space of electronics or semiconductor technology. Thank you so much for joining me, Mr. Keskar.
Thank you for the opportunity.